I'm shooting this video because I want to describe what I believe to be the dash illumination from the factory. And we've got this metal plate, and it fits back here and houses obviously the wipers and washers switch. And it's got this acrylic plastic down at the bottom that doesn't really extend past the plate, but maybe somehow light was supposed to shine into it, illuminating the labels, which are difficult to see because the plastic is now cracked. It's kind of interesting that the thickness of the plastic is just at the bottom, so this thing's mounted in the back of the dash at, you know, somewhat of an angle. It's not very noticeable with the puffy dash, but yeah, I don't like it, and I'm exploring options in my head on how to do it different. You know, what's interesting is that on this driver's side switch, the plastic actually covers the labels. I don't know if you can see that. But over here in the center dash, which is quite a few of the other switches, this plastic does extend further, and there was kind of a bulb on either side, you know, kind of shining on that, and I guess there would be some sort of transmission of light through there. And then, so the plastic is below the foil label on this side. So, yeah, I happen to have a laser, and I'm exploring options in my head about maybe making a new version of this. Maybe, I'm not a huge fan of putting LEDs, illumination, into the gauges themselves, but I might try and incorporate some sort of an LED into a new plastic design to try and shine light onto these two data plates. And then I'm not a fan of that silver, so I think what I might try and do is I might try and anodize or paint this surface again, and then use my laser to burn in these new labels. So that's my thought. Okay, so here's the next step on the dash, and I've already talked to you about how I don't like the tape labels and want to do something different. I was experimenting, and so this is what was factory original, and then even though this side is sun faded, this anodized, I have flipped it over, and this is what I've come up with, and I think that looks pretty smart. I think that looks way better than what the factory did. And then over here is another surprise, and again I've gone to Send Cut Send and have new replacements for the original. So these match up perfectly, or as perfectly as I was able to measure, and I think that's going to be plenty fine. So now it'll be a matter of lasering the anodize off of these and creating this labeling. And then this is a test piece I've come up with as a possible replacement for the Illumination. So as you know, these plates get screwed in on the back side of the wood dash, and so I have made this acrylic piece, and it won't be visible. This is going to be the same opening as in the plywood when I'm done, and so this black plate will sit back, you know, whatever that thickness, a little bit further, as this plastic is thicker than what was original. But I have little horseshoe cutouts on these in which I've glued in LED, and that's a warm white LED color, so I'm hoping they don't look different than the incandescent lights that are going to be in the rest of the dash. So this is a test piece. I wanted to see what one light looked like, and I wanted to see what two looked like across from each other, and then if that wasn't enough, then maybe two per side for 4. So I'm going to be doing some experimenting, hooking up some voltage source to those and see what that looks like. And I intend to, I think that's going to be quite a bit better than basically non-functional, the original. So yeah, I'm going to be making this for the big one, and I'll be remaking this one when I decide what kind of spacing looks right for the amount of illumination I'm going with. So the next step will be putting some power to these. Maybe I'll cut the same hole in a piece of cardboard and simulate it being bolted into the back of the dash. So maybe I'll bring you back and show you which one I've elected to go with. And then I'll definitely bring you back after I get these labels burned into the new Send Cut Send dash pieces. So that's where I am with that project, and I'll bring you back when I have something to show you. I am super impressed by the amount of light that's coming out of these warm white LEDs. This is a crazy amount. I was not expecting that. So this is just one. I was looking at maybe doing one on either side, or maybe I needed 4 or something. Here's an example of the kind of light I'm expecting. So this is just a rough experiment, but you can see how much light's coming out from just a single LED. So my girlfriend and I, hey Sako.
Hello.
So I'm thinking about like putting 2 on this and maybe changing the orientation. Asako thinks it should be top and bottom, and that'll be easier to do the same for the bigger one. But so I think I figured out what I want to do with the LED and the gauge illumination. So I'll bring you back when I got something more to share. Okay, so here's a clip of the gauge illumination. This is the acrylic, I don't know what, 1/4 inch thickness, something like that. I've got little indentations that I am gluing in LED lights, wiring this up. And these are going to sit in the openings of the dash and hopefully provide nice modern looking lighting to the switches. Been doing a little bit at a time and then super gluing in the wiring. You can see I've got a little diode on this one because it's only 2 lights on this one, so I have to drop the voltage for them to work. But I'm going to wire this one up with 4 light LED lights per side. The voltage drop is just right so that they should operate correctly without the diode. Yeah, so I'm soldering this together and I'm going to super glue those in, and I'm hoping I can install the lighting matrix in these 2 switch locations. And I had initially thought I would take this backing on both sides off, but it occurred to me that I kind of want the majority of the lighting to come in through that side area. So maybe what I'll do is just run a little bit of tape around the outside edge so all illumination will be towards the inside like I want it, and I'll just leave this backing on. So yeah, this is all experimental. See if it works out or not, and I'll bring you back when I've got something to show you. All right, bye. Okay, well there's Asako. I'm not sure how I forgot to turn on the sound, but she is showing you that we are now engaged. So no longer my girlfriend, she's now my fiance, and I'm very excited to share this information with you. So thank you very much. Okay, so it's the next morning, and this has turned out pretty nice. I just used the rubber bands to kind of hold the wire in place, and I kind of coated everything with super glue on these outside edges to kind of protect the wiring, keeping it from moving around. Thinking this is gonna work pretty good. And strip, it's like got some super glue on a lot of these. I'll clean that up later. But the way this is supposed to work, in my mind at least, is, give me 1 second to finish this up. Don't worry about that, that'd be good. Okay, so this is the switch plate that I made up, and it's gonna install on this back side here, like that. I think you can see that. And then, but this face of switches is going to be illuminated because this part I made has a bunch of LED lights glued in and wired up. And so that's going to install in between these 2, like that. And so I'm going to hook up some positive and negative to this, and then these LED lights are going to illuminate this inner edge. And hopefully they will cast a light to the switches on the inside here. So I'll probably throw a little, I don't know, black tape or something on this so that all the light generated by the LEDs will be cast inward towards the switches. And yeah, I think that's going to work out fine. I'll probably leave this paper on as kind of a diversion of the light to come to the inside. So let me throw some voltage on this and see if I got it right and how it works. So I'll bring it back in a second. Okay, so here's the next step. I'll clean this up a little bit more. I've got my power probe hooked up to my car battery. And let's see what this looks like. Oh, yep, there you go. So I'll throw some black tape around these edges and maybe where I've got the LEDs glued in. And I think that's going to cast a nice light to the inside, to this inside edge illuminating the switches. So far it's going as planned, and I'll bring you back when I've got something new to show you. Thanks. Okay, so it's nearing the end of a weekend, and I've got this dash just about put back together. I've got the new vinyl cover on it, got the glove box back on it. If I was going to do this again, I don't know if you noticed, didn't think about the notch around the glove box there. This is the Illumination that I've been working on. Got the negatives on there. Yeah, this is coming along pretty good. If I were to do this again, I would definitely have chosen different locations for the positive and negative on that. That's pretty tight, but I think I've got it insulated enough. This is the ground, that's gonna be the positive. So definitely gonna use an insulated connector on that one. I'm gonna be redoing the electrical on this. Maybe I'll take a second attempt at the illumination on this guy. But pretty pleased with the way this is coming together. I'm doing a lot of soldering on the grounds and stuff. So I'm hoping won't have a lot of issues. Let me see if I can do this with one hand. Okay, so here's what the dash looks like. Got a little grease stains on stuff. But so the switch, you know, is set back a little further, and I've got some illumination that's in there now. I don't know, we'll see. I don't dislike how much further back this is sitting because of the illumination, but yeah, how about that? This is the original vinyl. Looks okay without, I was able to dig out that padding, as you know. Got it all reinstalled. I do like the look of this flatter section. Looks pretty good to me. Looks like maybe I'll put shorter screws in here. I think those would disappear. Yeah, I'm gonna replace those screws with shorter ones. But yeah, I think it looks pretty good. And now I'm gonna be seeing if I can't put this back in and hooking up all that electrical again. So I'll bring you back when I've got something to show you. Hi, spoiler alert. I'm back from San Diego, safe and sound. The British car show was excellent, had a great time, did not break down. The TVR ran great, I couldn't be more proud of the work I did on it. But I realized while editing the dash illumination clips that I don't have a great ending to the story. So let me show you how that dash illumination turned out. So I think you saw that the recovering looks pretty good. And then with the panel switch on, if I turn my lights on, then you can see the illumination both in the central section here and over here. And that is bright. Looks really good. I'm going to throw some LED bulbs in the gauges so they're hopefully turns out as bright as the switch illumination. I've got a couple ideas on maybe a second generation with this lighting, but I like it and I hope you do too. And I want to thank you for coming along on this episode of Demo Garage. Thanks.